Hi everyone, I'm Tally, this is Farrell, and we are bored of it. And welcome to our look back at our top 10 games from 2023.
Yeah, so as we have just put out our top games of 2024, we think that we will have a little look back at the top games of 2023. And we always just think it's interesting to look back and see, did we play them? Did we not? What were the reasons? Have our opinions changed now? And kind of in the essence of that, we're not going to go in depth on describing these games. If you want to know more about them, you can watch one of our reviews of them or the top 10 video from last year. We're just gonna talk about what I said and not go too into explaining how you play. So we can, I guess, start with my number 10, and you have the list. So do you want to share?
I don't have it in my head, so unfortunately I have digital support.
I think I can remember what it was. Perspectives.
Correct. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Your number 10 was indeed Perspectives. And we have not played that at all this year.
Yeah,
but that's a good reason for that.
Exactly. So Perspectives is a kind of detective game. So it is similar in some ways to Sherlock Holmes, Sherlock Holmes consulting detective. And you're kind of working together to solve a mystery. Everyone has different bits of information. So it's very collaborative and you have to communicate a lot. You can only do everything verbally. And we just really, really enjoyed it, particularly me, I guess, because it's not in your top 10. No. But I just really enjoyed it as a kind of detective game. I think it's very underrated. I haven't really seen anyone ever talk about it.
It's true.
And I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I think there's actually a second one that's come out. I need to look into that.
Yeah.
Need to remember that. And the reason we haven't played it, of course, is because once you solve it, there's nothing to see. We basically passed it on to a friend. Yeah. Some of our friends after reviewing it, and that's that.
Yeah, cool. My number 10. I can't remember it off the top of my head, as you did. My number 10. My number 10 was
Spot.
No.
Okay.
So Clover.
So Clover, yeah.
Which is a collaborative kind of one of those party word games in a similar vein to like something like Codenames, and. On the converse or adverse of Perspectives where we didn't play it, we have played So Clover 13 times this year, basically. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, because of the nature of the type of game it is, you can play it multiple times in a single session. Usually do play 2 or 3 games at least in a session.
Yeah.
B, it's just, something that you play with the family, basically. So whenever we're with the family at Christmas time, for example, we get So Clover. So it's one of my mum's favourite games. Yeah. She requests it as well. I still really rate it. Yeah, I think it still deserves to be on my top 10 from last year.
Yeah.
Maybe something else replaces, but it deserved to be there at least at the time. Just because we always say this whenever we do ranking videos, you're very much scientific about your rankings. You're like, oh, is it there? Do we replay it? Like more stats. Weighted, things are like weighted in certain elements for you. Whereas me, I'm just like, did I enjoy playing it? I go with gut feeling a lot more. And it's just a lot of fun to play So Clover. Yeah,
I think it really took off because it's your mum's favourite game.
Yeah.
So just whenever we see her plays, so that's how it's been easy to keep it up.
Yeah.
We've also played with my family as well, to be fair. So it's a family pleaser and a great game.
Yep. Cool.
Yep.
Move on to number 9. Can you remember that off the top of your head?
Bear Raid.
Yeah, it was indeed Bear Raid. Yeah.
And I think we've played this once since. I think Bear Raid was, well, actually the opposite of what you just described for me, because I think that was more of a gut one than a logical one.
Yeah.
I just really enjoyed what Bear Raid has to offer. It's like a Ryan Courtney, very like mathematical kind of stocks game where you're manipulating stocks. And there's just like, it kind of is a big satire of like stocks and shares and shorting. And I never actually understood any of it till I played the game. So it's also a terrific learning tool.
It's an educational game.
But it's just a small box like game. I really enjoy it. Plays in like an hour or something. It's silly, a lot of fun. Has a lot of humor to it. But the problem is, it's one of those games where I think if you're showing someone maybe a lighter game or a shorter game, and they're not that experienced, you're probably going to go for like a Reiner Knizia or something that's simple to teach but gives you a lot back, like Through the Desert, that kind of thing. You're not going to go for this because there's like edges.
Yeah.
And then if you're playing with someone who is a hobbyist gamer, you're probably going for something bigger and more extravagant.
True.
So I feel like I really like it, but it has a really weird spot where I'd struggle to know the right setting to get it out.
Yeah. I think whenever we have got it out, it's like after we've played something heavier, but then sometimes it's at the end of the night, and because it is about stocks and shares, it's very fun, but at least for me, I found it kind of hard to wrap my head around. So if you're explaining it for someone for the first time, and like, it's just a bit... For a small box, it's in a way like quite heavy, even though it is a light game. Like,
mentally,
Yeah, mentally.
But I would like to play it more, but I know exactly why we haven't, basically.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to my number 9. That is, Royal Visit, which is a 2-player head-to-head game. And we have played that only one time, actually, since last video. So, that's, again, just like a lighter game. We almost use it as a filler game. We typically tend to play it with other people when we have them around. One of us is going off to like either cook dinner or walk the dogs.
Yeah.
We tend to get Royal Visit out and play it with the guest for some reason. But I definitely think, again, it deserves to be there. Still really like it. I guess other things have just replaced it this year.
Yeah.
But for me, I wouldn't want to get rid of it out of the collection. I think it's can be like a staple in the collection now, because it definitely fills that slot when you're just looking for something that plays in maybe 20, 30 minutes, if that sometimes. Could be a nice travel game as well. So still a fan, just have other things to play along the way.
Yep.
All right, number 8. You remembering that one off the top of your head?
No.
Okay, so we got 10 and 9. Okay, so your number 8 was Waypoints.
Yeah, okay.
Which we've played once.
Yeah, so Waypoints is a print and play roll and write game from Postmark Games, and they do really like top quality print and play games, and they all usually cost £4 or something. So it's like, and then you get a number of maps for the game. And Waypoints was, I think, in my opinion, the best one they've done. We really enjoyed playing it last year. And I think it's a bit similar actually to why we haven't played Royal Visit, is that it occupies a space, and when new things come in that space, it gets pushed aside. So for you, it was like 2-player games that play in like 20, 30 minutes. And we've had a few of those. And for me, it's like roll and write. It's like this year we probably played like Mindspace.
Yeah.
That was probably the game that took a spot this year. A roll and write game we really enjoyed. But I think Waypoints is great. I actually printed out like the new map, which came out in the last few months.
Cool.
Want to try it again. You know, all you have to do is print out a sheet. So easy to keep around, doesn't take up space. But I'd like to play it again, but
That one almost seems weird to me that it was a whole year ago. I don't know, it feels like we played it this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, at least once.
Yeah, you know what I mean. When we're playing a lot of the same game at once, when we first get it, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, so my number 8 is Obsession. And we have played that 5 times since. Actually, many of those in the last week or so, right?
And you're sick of it now, right? It's out of your top 10, you said. You said you hate it.
I have maybe said that I hate it a little bit in the last few games.
Yeah.
For the pure reason that Farrell keeps absolutely smashing me and getting like double the score. So, no. I think it's a really, really
I know how to
great
behave
game.
in Victorian London.
It's Derbyshire.
Derbyshire, well.
Yeah, you're not even
I meant to
paying
say
attention.
society and then I went with London.
Very, very much still enjoy the game. And we've been playing it because we've been playing around with some of the expansions. So yeah, it's a kind of heavy-ish Euro game about high society in Derbyshire. Really like it, and I've been very much enjoying playing it still in the last couple of weeks. Not much more to say. I think it, again, deserves to be that. I very much stand by my top 10 so far from last year.
No, so Obsession is great, and I think we actually hadn't, because I think it was quite new to us when we had it in our top 10. And But we could tell by like the strength of playing it a few times how we liked it that much. And I think playing it more cemented it. And the main reason we've got it out is because the new characters expansion arrived. So we've been like playing with that, introducing it to the game, kind of rediscovering it to try and remember. So we've played like 3, 4, 5 times, I think, in like the last couple of like weeks, months.
Quite short succession.
So it was really nice to get back to it. I really like what it does, and a lot of the issues around it were like about the randomness, and pretty much every expansion is trying to tackle that.
Yeah.
So now it's almost like a totally different ball game than the original. And I really like what it does. There's a lot of variants. There's a lot of different tiles, a lot of cards. Variants. So Obsession, I really like as well. I'm glad we've got to play it a bunch.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to your number 7, which is Obsession.
Yeah. So that's why I said, because I knew it was coming up. So exactly what we've said already.
Yeah, not much more to say there. My number 7 was Nucleum, dry Euro about energy production, classic. That's what we really love.
Straight into Board of It's top 10 of the year.
Yeah.
That's a spoiler for this year, by the way, if you haven't seen it.
And actually, we've been playing that.
Yes. Again, because of expansions.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't say how many times we've actually
3,
played it. Yep, 3 times, exactly. Again, all within the last month or a few weeks even.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's one I would like to play more. Throughout the year, I have been thinking, whenever you let me choose a game to play, maybe we should play Nucleum, but for whatever reason, we just end up getting something else out. And we always say this, but we always have so many kind of new games to play that just some of the other ones get put to the back of the cupboard a bit, which is a bit of a shame. No other reason than that. I think I've been really enjoying it when we've been playing it. One criticism you have is like the setup. Puts you off so much. Playing it a little bit, but gameplay wise, I think it's really brilliant. Can be quite brutal to get up and running, but it has a really unique like action selection system, which is the jewel in its crown, I think. So yeah, still really enjoy that. It's just unfortunately, again, other things come up and take its place a little bit.
Yeah, I think Nucleum's interesting because when we've like had those plays of it, and it might even be 4, I'm not sure if the last one's logged. So I thought it'd been like 4, but
you played without me, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. With those, they've come like very recently as well. So we actually like played it, reviewed it, didn't play it for over a year, and then got it out a bunch. And it's been really nice to go back to, and we've tried out the expansions. I think I'd just like to say a little bit about the expansions here, because we did a review of them and our sound didn't work. Then we can do it in like a sound setting.
Yeah.
So there's Australia, which is a new map. And then there's a Court of Progress, which adds like a sideboard and some new mechanisms where you can send workers out for an instant reward, but you might also get points if you have the most workers in a certain space. And I think we really enjoyed both of the expansions. It was really fun getting to grips with them. And as you say, the core action system, I think, is what makes Nucleum great and why it was on both of our lists. Australia is just a new map, and it has some new mechanisms on that map that I find really interesting, like the fact that you can build your own coal mines, which give you free coal. And then the Court of Progress is just has it's one of those expansions that just kind of slots right into the game and feels like it was always there and just gives you some different options. Really enjoy it.
Yep.
So I'm also really glad that we've been playing Nucleum.
Yep. All right. Moving on to your number 6. That was Ra. And we've only played that 3 times.
Yeah.
That's very surprising to me, because I feel like we played it a lot more than that, actually.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm thinking of the previous year.
Yeah.
Where we played it a lot.
I think so. Yeah, Ra, I think, do not, like, nothing's changed. It was in there. I absolutely love Ra. I think it's probably, or it definitely is my favorite Reiner Knizia game, I believe. I I think Ra's brilliant. And yeah, I'm glad that we've got to play it a few times. It was actually kind of a dark horse last year because I think it might have been our most played game of 2023, or it was like up there.
Yeah.
And it like surprised us that we had played it so much.
Yeah.
And I think this year we've managed to get it back because we have like a group who we first played it with, and we also introduced it to a friend recently, and just always have a brilliant time playing it.
Yeah, no, agree.
Absolutely love Ra.
It's one of those games where, you know, sometimes we just use it as like a warm-up game, ending game.
It's a crowd pleaser.
Yeah, it's just a crowd pleaser. I would quite like to play that at Christmas.
Yeah,
actually,
100%. I'll always go out Ra.
All right, so moving on to my number 6. That was Thunder Road.
Vendetta.
Yeah, and we have played that twice. So this is a racing game, which is like kind of Fast and Furious style. It gets a bit violent, a bit brutal. You have 3 cars and you trying to get them to the end of the finish line, basically using dice, but you can chop a gun, explode other cars out of the way. It's about elimination.
I think that's what it says in the rulebook.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly.
Chop a gun,
yeah,
blow
chop
up.
a gun, explode, kapow. Really enjoy this game. It's maybe different from usual favourite games in a way. We tend to lean towards like Euros, a game of energy themes, or, you know, society and Derbyshire themes. Whereas this is just pure kind of chaotic energy, race car.
Fun fact, by the way, she hated Mad Max the movie, but this game was in her top 10. Make it make sense?
Is it Mad Max?
It's extremely Mad Max themed. It's basically like Mad Max with the like label taken off.
Right. Okay. Sure. Yeah. Did not.
Maybe we'll have to watch the movie again now that you're such a Vendetta fan.
Yeah, that's true. I just think this, again, I choose based on kind of gut feeling and fun vibes, and it's just so fun. Basically.
You're right.
It's chaotic, and, you know, you're trying to eliminate your opponent's cars, but it's not the sort of thing where you can get too upset about it, because it's just
exactly.
okay, I blew your car off the side of the mountain, and it's like, damn it. But it's not such a long game that's very annoying, or just, I mean, it's kind of longer than you would expect for that type of game, considering like how, not random, but just, yeah.
It's not even a criticism, but that might be like my biggest criticism of that game, that I think is a little bit overlong.
Because that type of
doesn't
thing almost seems like a filler game.
Yeah.
But it's too long to be a filler game, basically. Yeah. But no, still very much enjoyed it.
And I think the thing is that we will definitely be playing this a bunch more, because we just got the Maximum Chrome box like all in, and we've like played it once to get back to grips with it, but we haven't really gone through all the content.
Explored the content.
So we're definitely going to be playing this a few more times in the future. So I think that was also a little bit why I've only played it twice, was kind of holding out for that, because we knew we'd be playing it.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. What are we on now? 5. So your number 5 was Great Western Trail, Argentina. We've not played that.
Yeah, I think that's because we've played the other ones.
Okay, that's upsetting.
We've definitely played Great Western Trail New Zealand, maybe the original Great Western Trail. And I mean, absolutely love Great Western Trail. I think Great Western Trail Argentina is my favorite. I think the thing is that when we did this list, last year, Great Western Trail New Zealand was new. And that's why that's been like the one we have played this year.
Yeah.
And I feel like we went back and played the original on Board Game Arena as well with a friend who lives away. So I think that's why it's just been crowded out, but I definitely would want to go back to it, not sick of it, still think it deserves its place there. Great Western Trail, brilliant.
I would never get rid of Great Western Trail. I've said it before and I'll say it again. You could tell me any time of day, like, do you want to play Great Western Trail? I'm like, yep. I would never turn it down. It's so fun.
I think the thing is, actually, I might play it more if the setup wasn't so brutal.
Yeah.
Because I think the setup's like a little bit much for any Great Western Trail, but I think Argentina is probably the one. Maybe New Zealand is, but it's close.
Okay, so my number 5, that was Voidfall, and we've played it 3 times.
Yeah.
So, yeah, how do you even describe that? Big Euro,
Big
space
Euro
exploration.
space game.
Yeah,
It's
little funny little alien components.
really like heavy, intensive Euro, 1 million icons, but
Tracks.
surprisingly like straightforward actions. I think it's one of those ones that it's horrendous to set up the first time and like learn and figure out. It does have a terrific tutorial to get you into it, but the first experience is going to be horrendous, just like popping everything out, setting it up, like reading the rule book. But once you're in it and you play, it's one of those ones that it kind of clicks.
Yeah.
And I don't struggle like I know we went back to it earlier in the year. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. And we had like a weekend where we played it twice or something because we got it out and then we're like, let's leave it out and play it again. And it just straight back into it, even though it'd been half a year. And then we kind of did the same again now, where we played it very recently. And again, it just like straight into it. Yeah. There's some games you really struggle.
The complexity is just figuring out how to optimize your turns basically and do things in the right order rather than the kind of like rule set or game itself. But yeah, still really enjoy it. You were like super enamored with it last year. I think for me, I still enjoy it. Maybe other things, just I would prefer to probably play like other Euros, but I don't really know why. I think it feels, maybe the theme a little bit is more boring, but I love the action selection system in that game as well. I'm not good at any Euros. You always beat me, but no, I still do like it. But, yeah.
Yeah, I think the action selection system, like you say, it's kind of like you have these hand of cards, and in a round you'll play a variable number of cards, and on each card you pick 2 actions out of 3 on that card, and all of them are good, and the whole game is about picking out the order in which you do things and play your cards, because you need to go A to B to C to D, and it's like, how do you get to that end goal and the best way for you, because you're kind of scoring your objectives at the end of every round. So you always want to progress yourself, but then you need to play maybe a certain card to play an objective to score it. And it's just such an interesting system. And there's so much like variability with all the technologies and different houses and different like map setups you can play.
There's a lot in there.
Yeah.
It's why it almost like doesn't feel Euro in a way, because there's so like you have a bit of combat in there as well, and it's so variable. It almost feels more space exploration-y as well. I think for me it maybe just feels like when we sit down at the table and you're like faced with it, I'm like I feel a bit like it's going to be a slog. Yeah. In a way, once I'm in it, I have a great time playing, but it's like the initial upfront. I just think, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's really good. Okay, moving on. So
number 4.
We're at number 4, and yours is Nucleum. So don't need to talk about it too much.
No, I said everything. Nucleum, it's great. Maybe in hindsight, I probably should have put Great Western Trail above Nucleum, but I think maybe Great Western Trail Argentina was further down for me because I'd already experienced like 90% of that game with the original. So it wasn't like that fresh to me, but it was still that good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nucleum, I still think it would deserve to be in the top 5 for sure from last year.
Okay, my number 4 was John Company, which is a Cole Whirly game, and we've played it 3 times actually.
Which is actually pretty good considering we've only played Ra 3 times.
True.
And this one takes like 3 hours each play.
Yeah, still again very much enjoy this game. I think the tough thing about it is people don't seem to want to like learn it, or once you do get people to play, they really enjoy it, but they were like, it was a bit of other people find it a bit of a slog in a way. But yeah, I would always play that as well. I think I really enjoy what comes off the board in that game, because it's a lot about like the table talk, taking on some little roles. You could just do a bit of role playing, taking on these kind of characters, or like putting a character onto the master of shipping, whatever it is, because everyone kind of takes on the role in the company. Yeah, I mean, it is a long, heavy game, so you have to set aside a few hours on Saturday or Sunday to do it. Basically, it's not something that you can just get out, but I still believe that it's an absolutely fantastic game.
Yeah, I mean, John Company, maybe spoilers, well, it's not really spoilers for this video, but I rated John Company my favorite game of all time in our list this year. So obviously, I think John Company is excellent. I think it's the perfect creation of board gaming and role play, like you said. I think there's so much on offer. I think the experiences, and this is one where it's purely the experience I have at the table is why it's so high. I've never had experiences like it. The table talk, the semi-cooperative, stabbing each other in the back, the negotiation. I think it's an absolutely brilliant experience that is for very few people. And yeah, I mean, this is an absolutely terrific game.
It's a sort of game where you just don't care if you win or lose because you have such a great time playing.
And
basically.
it's like you need to be in that game for the experience because it can come down to a die roll.
Yeah.
I mean, we had one where I had I can't remember how it was, but it was I had 5 dice to roll, and on one of them I needed a 3 or higher, and I got 5 2s, and it was almost statistically impossible for me not to win by retiring someone. And then it happened, right, and then someone else won, and that's going to be a really bad taste for some people because I did everything I possibly could. But it's just the experience. You need to be ready for that because it can come down to the roll of the dice. And
for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
But it's rich. It's a very rich game.
Getting into top 3s. Your number 3 was Undaunted Stalingrad, which we have not played this year.
Yeah. Well, it was also yours, so I think we can. It was a crossover.
Number 3.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So we haven't played this because it's the Legacy Undaunted game, and we obviously completed the campaign. You can go back and replay it. It's replayable. It was terrific. We both absolutely love the Undaunted series. I think that it was just this year, actually, the Imperium series became our series of the year, which is also from the same publisher, funnily enough. So that took, I think, a lot of our, you could say, Undaunted time.
Yeah.
And then we also played the new Undaunted game, 2200 Callisto. And that was kind of our Undaunted
of the year. Yeah.
But you always express heavily how much you want to go back to it. I would like to go back to it. It was a really terrific campaign, and we played it in a week straight, and it's 15 games or something it can last.
Yeah, well, brilliant experience. Very intense, very really stressful, intense. But brilliant. I mean, if you don't like Undaunted, then of course you're not going to like this either. It's the core system, just in a kind of campaign. But yeah, we just both really love it, basically. And I would definitely, like I keep saying, would like to go again because you won overall, I think.
Yeah.
So I need to give it another go. And you can swap sides, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, not in the middle of the campaign, but yeah.
No.
Yeah,
but when you restart again.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's completely resettable. It's great.
Okay, so penultimate, your number 2 was John Company.
Yep, so I think nothing more. I think we're going to be skipping through these now because we've said them all. But, John Company. So it's funny because I had John Company as number 2 on the year, and then I had it as number 1 on my all-time game list. And my number 1 game went to my number 2 of all time. So 2024-3 was a great year. But yeah, so nothing is said what I want to say about John Company. So your number 2?
My number 2 was Great Western Trail, New Zealand, which we've only played once.
Yeah.
So that's actually no overlap, new entry to both of our lists. just, yeah, I already said it a little bit when you talked about Great Western Trail, but I like all of them, actually. Would always kind of keep all of them. I don't think, for us, we love the game. So for us, it's worth to have all three in the collection, because although they have a similar core, they're different enough to still be interesting. And yeah, the New Zealand one is all about sheep shearing rather than shipping off the cows to the market. Still stand by that, I think.
My favourite thing about Great Western Trail New Zealand is that the sheep shearer, who is like in there holding some sheep shears, he looks exactly like my barber, but a little bit younger. And I just find that really funny.
Yeah.
It's like the spitting image.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shearing.
exactly.
Yeah. So moving on to the number one then.
Yeah, mine is Voidfall, which we already talked about. I think Voidfall is brilliant. It was my number 2 game of all time. Every time I play it, I feel like a kid in a candy store. I just feel like there's so many options. I love every minute of playing. And it's a lot like what we always say with Great Western Trail, where it's the joy of playing it, like every turn, and the game, whether you win or lose, feels like fun and interesting. It's just the mechanisms and the way they come together. And for me, Voidfall is the pinnacle of that.
So my number one was Great Western Trail Argentina. So yeah, I think I just had to put that above New Zealand, because I think I just enjoy the whole like shipping off mechanism and making sure that you've done certain things by certain times because the ship leaves. It adds that extra element of like jeopardy. I mean, I love the original Great Western Trail. I think I lump them all together in my kind of top games of all time, rather than separating them out. But for the sake of for the year, I separated them. And yeah, it just goes above New Zealand, I think, because I think the novelty of what happens in Argentina is just maybe a little bit more fun than what happens in New Zealand. But love them all. So
that was a look back at our top 10 of 2023. We hope you found it interesting to see how our thoughts changed and if we'd played them. If you have any questions about the games, please ask us. And please remember to subscribe if you found it helpful or interesting or funny or anything. We really appreciate it. We're really near 10,000. Might even be past that when this comes out, who knows. Subscribers, so that's awesome. But most importantly, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.